I'm a very normal, average Singaporean. Went to secondary school, then JC. After JC, I could have went to the university, but I decided not to. I decided to do photography. So I took up a short course when I was done with my JC education. It was only like a 1-month course on photography. Shortly after that, I had to go to the army. When I was in the army, I was working on a camera shop on the weekends. And then when I came out, I started assisting other people. So at the time, I just wanted to be a commercial photographer. I mean, actually, I just wanted to feed myself from photography. And I did that. I assisted for about 2 years. So after that, I started to get some jobs, and then I was doing some work for a while. And then in around 2007, I started to do my own work. I started to develop my own stories, so to use photography in a more personal way. Actually, on hindsight now, I'm not so sure. When I first started taking the photography class, like a short course, prior to that I had never touched the camera before. And then the moment I started, I just fell in love with it. I mean, it was a very spontaneous affair, that lasted until now. Yeah, I really didn't know what got me at that time, but yeah, I just fell in love with it very quickly. And I think, I'm not sure, but perhaps a very big reason why I like photography or why I love photography is because it is the only medium that kind of force you to confront your immediate reality as it is. I mean, for say something like painting, you can paint a night sky in the daytime. But photography, you cannot. You have to be present. Whatever it is that you want to photograph, you have to be there, you have to be present. And at the same time also, at least for my work, it's often quite collaborative. I mean, I photograph my family, for instance. So it's a medium that kind of force you to establish some kind of relationship with the real world, with people around you. So I guess I quite like that. I have about perhaps maybe 4 bodies of work. The first one is one that I'm not proud of at all. The work that I don't like the most is the very first body of work that I've done in color about my family. I don't like to talk about it actually. I don't like to show it because that work is not. I don't feel like it's really me. It's just a visual exercise, trying to make some images that look cool, or that look like some of the images that I saw from photographers that I liked at the time. I was just trying to replicate the look, so that work I obviously do not like it so much because it's just a visual exercise. What I learned from that work is that the work that you do, the work that I do, must be something deep, as in not deep in the sense of academic deep or very deep in concept or whatever, but deep in the sense that it has to be something that really matters to me. I have to be absolutely concerned about this. The work has to really grip me. I don't want to just try to find some new idea to go and shoot. I want it to be a very natural thing. I have to make this work. I need to feel like I need to do this, rather than just trying to find something fun or cool to try. I think at the start, perhaps that's how most people start, And I started that way as well. But then at this point, I think I want to make work that I am really, really, bothered and concerned about. The second one was, I consider that my first serious body of work actually was a work called Method, where I dressed up as an alter ego and I spent quite a bit of time in Cambodia making a story, about this fictitious character. So that was the first, to me that's the first serious body of work. Yeah, then for Method, actually I enjoy the process of making a method. But if there was something, I don't know whether this is a weak point, but it's the reason why I stopped. It's because I felt like I've reached a point where I realized that sooner or later I will have to make a choice, either to stop doing this work or to really become the character that I've created. Because you know, you are playing a game, right? You are you, but then you're also this character in this story. So you are playing this game, like you tread this fine line, you know. But eventually, if you want to continue, you have to break this line. You have to really become the character, or else it's just playing. You know, you're just playing this thing. It's not, you know, it's not solid enough. So I stopped that work because I can't really go and like be I can't really go and change my sex and, you know, go and be a girl and live this life as a transsexual in Cambodia. I can't do that, you know. Even if I wasn't a transsexual in Cambodia, I also cannot go and like, there are just boundaries that I can't cross. I can't, you know, when I think about it, when I was thinking about it when I was doing that work, you know, it's not possible to carry on. There are just so many boundaries that I cannot cross. So I decided to stop. And then after, I did that for about 3 years. So I ended in around 2010. And then after that, I started to do a work about my family in black and white. Yeah. Really, with homework, I think it's really something very simple. I find that I've come to this work where it's really very simple, the work, and I enjoy it a lot. I think that the strength of homework is that there are no the strength of homework is that there is no I feel like there's no pretense at all. Like I can do whatever I want. It's my story, my family, and as long as we have fun, as long as the images are great, you know, it doesn't matter. Because to me, that's the magical thing about homework. Ultimately it is. I like that it's very childlike and it's very playful at times, and I like the humor. Even the parts that are serious, you know, it's actually, I think it's serious, but it comes to you in a light-hearted way. Like the humor is a way for you to get into the work. So it's there's something very free, you know. I feel more free when I'm shooting homework. There's a lot of freedom. I imagine my scenes and I do whatever I want to do, and I get my parents to participate. Usually everybody has a good time and we laugh, and you know, it helps them get closer, it helps them to have some physical contact with each other, which I feel is very special and important. Even if it does not cross into real life, as in when I don't have a camera in front of them, to me it's fine, because during that 5 minutes in a day, they did something that otherwise they would not have done, perhaps for the rest of their lives. I'm making them, you know, a big part of homework is to prevent a normal day from just going by like that. So a big part of homework is just to get them to do something absurd or intimate that they wouldn't have done if I wasn't a photographer, you know. And I find that a very simple and very pure idea. Yeah. I'm also developing this new series of work, which is very exciting, you know, for me. This new body of work that I'm doing. The new body of work is a work that is called The Garden. So I am still using my family members, but you cannot. It's only body parts, and you can't tell actually. So it could have been done without my family. It could have been done using myself or, you know, somebody else. It's just that I've decided to use them because, you know, since I started doing homework, I've been taking so many pictures of them. So they're very used to being photographed, and at the same time, I also feel a lot more comfortable using people that I'm very familiar with, like my mom and dad. And in the end, to be honest, it probably will not add to the work per se, but it meant something to me. The fact that I use my parents, but for the work, it could have been anybody. So it's called the garden because the work is separated into 3 parts. So the first part of the work shows images of body parts that seem like they are dying or like going through a process of decay. They are not exactly very abstract, just like the ear, the lips, veins, feet. And then after that, there are images which start to look very much like, so that's the first part. And then the second part is a series of images that seem to look very much like rain, but they're all made out of body parts. So you have clouds, rain, and then there's like sky, like night sky, like that it looks like there are stars and moon, and then there is like and then after that it ends with a scene, like a landscape at night, but they are all actually made up of body parts. The third part of the series is where you have all these very organic forms that look like plants rather than people. I'm not sure if it's about the work. Actually, I'm not sure if I can call it a difficulty, but for the past few months, I've been thinking about my relationship with photography, and that's a difficult question to confront. I think the difficulty for me now is to be. I mean, this is an ongoing difficulty. Like it will never stop. I don't expect to stop. And I think that it is to be absolutely honest with myself, and to know that ultimately, really, what's really important is the devotion. It's actually what's really important is love. To simply just do it because you love it, right? And be devoted to it and be committed to it, and to not be so distracted by whether you're going to get an exhibition or whether you're going to get a prize or whether you're going to be shown. I mean, obviously we all hope for opportunities, and obviously whenever you get to show your work, it's a great thing, but the core has to be pure. The core has to be strong, and I don't want to be sort of like contaminated by my ambitions or my desires. I want the core to be strong, and I want to make stories that I would have loved to come across. I say that a lot actually. Like I want to make stories that I would have loved to come across, because then you're being honest to yourself. You are trying to create something that you would have loved to see. So I think that's the struggle, is to. I will always have dreams. I always have ambitions. I mean, I always have these desires to want to be shown at the best places and be great. But I cannot afford to put them so far in the forefront of my artistic pursuit or my photographic pursuits that it takes the place of like really important stuff, like honesty and devotion. So ultimately, I think that I want my work to be like a form of worship to God, to make stories about simple folk that sort of reflects the kind of ideal, reflects the kind of beauty and values that I think are important to me. So that's the struggle, the ongoing struggle. Then whenever you make a photograph, there's always the the struggle of making it look beautiful, right? I mean, all these things, everybody struggles with them, you know, form and light, trying to make it look beautiful, and at the same time trying to make it look beautiful in a way that you have never seen before. I mean, there are so many beautiful photographs that will influence all of us. But how do I make something that, just one photograph that is very beautiful but in a new way? Like when I look at it, I'm like, oh, I never thought that it could be beautiful in this way. That's the day-to-day struggle, I guess.